Hello guys, this is your friend Shinobi Addict 2.0. We are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto awakened as the White Fox God after being ignored by Kushina, Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Here we are, in the land of fire, as we head to a village called Konoha, known as the Leaf Village. A village full of shinobis and kunoichis where they are dependent on their strict teachings and teamwork. Our story isn't about the village, it is about a shunned boy who is neglected by his own parents for his brother and sister. Kushina Uzumaki, Uzu's princess and former Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, gave birth to triplets. Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki was the firstborn. Then the second-born Menma Namikaze Uzumaki. Third-born Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki. These three were the children of Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage of Konoha, and Kushina Uzumaki. Both Menma and Naruto hold the Nine Tails due to Minato splitting both Kyubis and sealed them into his second son and daughter. You see, what happened was, a masked man had attacked Konoha by unsealing the Kyubi out of Kushina right after she gave birth to her triplets, and controlled the Kyubi to attack Konoha and destroy everything, killing lots of people who were caught in the fox's way. Minato had fought the man head-on and took his son and daughter along with the fox. He summoned the Shinigami to split the Kyubi into two and seal them both into his son Menma and Naruto. After the deed was done, Minato was spared by the Shinigami so that he could live with his family. And after that, Minato had declared that both his son and daughter are heroes for holding the Kyubi at bay. Of course, the villagers decided to worship and love their heroes. Our firstborn is currently looking out the window watching his parents train his brother and sister. Saddened and heartbroken that he wasn't shown that much attention. He didn't understand why was his brother and sister getting more attention than him. Why were they training and he wasn't? Lowering his head with a sad sigh, he decides to leave the house and go be alone. He was treated like an outcast and wasn't as important as his brother and sister. Shunned by many in the village, except Hinata Hyuga, who he saved from the Kumo ambassador who attempted to kidnap her. Hinata was forever in his debt and wanted to be his friend. Hitomi, friend of Kushina, approved, same with Hiyashi, and told Minato and Kushina about the incident. They gave Naruto little praise for what he's done. He hardly had any friends, Hinata was his only. Our 8-year-old lonely boy was on the Hokage monument, watching the view with lots of questions on his mind. Do his parents even know he existed? Hell, even his own godparents show his siblings more attention. More questions going through his head as he looked up at the sky. A week later. It indeed has been a week since Naruto had been wandering alone. His parents would take his siblings out while he was left. Even his godparents took his siblings out to train. I wish I had someone who would show me attention and love. I wish I was just as important as my siblings. Please Kami, hear my wish. Naruto said in prayer, looking out the window, bored out of his mind. Elsewhere in the west, finally had been free of her accused prison, Hachishiku-sama, the 8-feet-tall woman, had indeed been out taking away young victims and killing them as of late. Same with killing monks. She recently slaughtered group of monks who stood in her way. Po. 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 She flicked the blood off her Nodaichi sword. She raised her hand as a white bubble glowed around her fist and hit the air, making it crack, causing a tremor to hit directly at a monk temple, destroying it on the spot. Now satisfied after killing 56 monks this week and killing 75 children, Hachishiku-sama looked up at the sky looking confused. She's never felt confused. Her gaze was fixated on the east. As if something was calling her. A presence calling her. A disturbance that told her that a young presence calls her. Why was this unknown disturbance calling her? And it seemed childlike. That confused her greatly. A child presence wants her. Does this said child even know what she is? Deciding to sheath her sword, she decides to go to the east and see her suspicions and see this child. Po. Po, 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 po. She decided to walk and head for the east. Back in Konoha. So what's the plan for the kids, Minato? Asked Jiraiya his sensei, who was a Sanin. Well, for their birthday I plan on making Menma the clan heir. You still taking Menma as a apprentice? Asked Minato with Jiraiya nodding and smiling. Of course I'll take the brat as a apprentice. Jiraiya beamed. Perfect. Knowing Tsunade just may take Naruto as a apprentice and teach her. Minato said while both him and Jiraiya smiled along with Tsunade, who smirked. Kushina at this point was with Menma and Naruto treating them to ramen. The Sandaime Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at them with disapproval on his aged face. Ahem. He said with the three now turning their attention on him. Minato. What about your firstborn? Your son Naruto. What do you have planned for him? The old Kage said, frowning. Naruto. I nothing really. He's not ready to join his brother and sister yet. Answered Minato with the Sandaime releasing light ki. Whatever do you mean not ready? Surely he should be ready. The Sandaime asked, frowning. Sensei. Menma and Naruto has to be trained. They both hold the Kyuubi within them. Naruto doesn't. Hence why me and Tsunade Hime are training them. Cut in Jiraiya with his sensei now glaring. So just because they have the Kyuubi within them, Naruto still can't be trained? Sarutobi said with a piercing glare, with both his students and Minato feeling shivers down their spine from the professor's stare. Sensei, please hear us out on why me and Minato are doing this. The Great Toad Elder foretold a prophecy that is about to unravel, and both of Minato's children are in the center of it. We have to train them for the sake of the village. The Great Toad Elder foretold that a great evil will come from the west and start a conquest here in the east, and it is up to Menma and Naruto together to fight this great evil that is about to come and change things here in the east in its own image. Jiraiya explained, defending him and Minato, but Hiruzen looked livid. So you're basically neglecting Naruto for his brother and sister. And how do you know if the prophecy does come true? Hiruzen still with a glare, with the three wincing. Sarutobi. I know you don't like this any more than we do, but it's for the sake of the village, if not the world. Someday we will focus on Naruto's training. Right now we have to focus on his brother and sister. Minato said, hoping the Sandaime could see reason. Unfortunately, the Sandaime stood up with a look of disappointment on his face. You better pray to Kami that Naruto doesn't wind up becoming scorned because of your idiocy, Minato. You too, Jiraiya. What says you, Tsunade? Surely you wouldn't go through with this. After all, Naruto is your godson too. Hiruzen said with disappointment in his voice, with both men looking like they've been slapped in the face. Sarutobi sensei. As much as I don't like this either, but think about preparing Naruto-chan to face this great evil that is coming. Tsunade said with the Sandaime glaring at her. I'm ashamed of all of you. I'm sure Mito Uzumaki and your great-grand-uncle and great-grandfather would be very ashamed of you, Tsunade. I don't know what Kushina would think, but Mito would be disappointed in her also. If Orochimaru hadn't turned evil, he would have agreed with me on this. Said Sarutobi Hiruzen as he walked out the office, unable to see their faces, leaving them shocked. Minato felt conflicted about this, having heard what the Sandaime said and that he wouldn't agree to their plan. Was he doing the right thing? Kid, don't worry. Sensei will come around, just give him some time. Jiraiya assured. Minato looked down, nodding slightly. The next day, Naruto would be sitting with Hinata. Both sitting on a field alone, looking at the sky. Naruto-kun, are you okay? Hinata had asked. She didn't need her Byukugan to see through his mask, which she is aware he is wearing. I am fine, Hinata-chan. He answered, but she frowned lightly. Naruto-kun, you know you don't have to lie. She pointed out, seeing him sigh, knowing she was right. No, I'm not okay, Hina-chan. It's just I don't get or understand why my parents giving so much attention to my brother and sister, and they act like I don't exist. Every time I try to get their attention, they either ignore me or brush me off to something else. They train Menma and Naruto every day, including my own godparents. I just feel like they've forgotten about me and don't even want to train me. Naruto said sadly, with Hinata also looking saddened at that. She wonders should she bring this up to her mother and father. Because this isn't right. Naruto-kun shouldn't be saddened and his parents should start showing him love and affection. They're Naruto-kun. I'm sure they haven't forgotten you entirely, said Hinata, putting a hand on his shoulder. And at that moment Naruto's brother Menma showed up. Hinata-chan, there you are. Why are you with this loser? Come hang with me, Menma said, causing Hinata to surprisingly glare at him. No thanks. Can't you see I'm with him now? Hinata said, seeing him frown. What do you see in that hopeless loser? He's not even a clan heir. Which will be me soon, Menma said, with both Naruto and Hinata widening their eyes. Hold on, I'm the firstborn. It should go to me, Naruto said, standing up. Oh, like you can ever be clan heir. You haven't been trained yet. Father is making me clan heir on our birthday, brother, not you, Menma said with a smug look as Naruto's mask was slowly cracking. After hearing that, Naruto started to walk away. That's right, walk away, Menma said, now with his attention on Hinata, who also walked away. Where do you think you're going, Hina-chan? That loser is leaving, Menma said, with her looking at him with rare anger. I'm going home. She spoke rather coldly at him as she continued to walk her way home. Namikaze house. Naruto came home with a depressed look after learning that he is losing his clan heir status. He decided to go upstairs and get in bed. As he decided to sleep. Dreamscape. Now in his own dream, looking sadly as rain clouds appeared in his dream, raining, with thunder booming in the sky. Feeling very depressed and saddened. That was until it stopped raining, looking confused. He heard a strange sound he has never heard of before. Ho, 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 a voice chanted. Raising a brow and looking more confused, he stood up from his position and followed the source of that sound. Ho, 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 ho. When he got there, he saw a wall hedge, and behind it was a tall woman, wearing a straw hat as she opened her dark blue eye, meeting eye to eye with Naruto. Naruto couldn't believe how beautiful she looked. She's huge. Who is she? Thought Naruto, and was wondering why was this very tall woman in his dream. The tall woman walked around the wall hedge for Naruto to get a better look at her. She was so tall and slender, long black hair, white morning dress billowing in the wind. She wore sandals. Her chest looked very large. It rivaled Tsunade's bust, but way bigger than Tsunade's. Ho, 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 the tall woman chanted as she walked towards Naruto with a warm smile on her face. Naruto didn't seem frightened or scared of her. It was like he could actually trust her. What is your name, little boy? Said the tall woman. Naruto. Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki. He answered. You seem like a nice boy, she said, looking at him. Why are you in my dream, miss? He said, with her stopping him, putting a finger on his lips to quiet him. My name is Hachishiku-sama Naru-kun, she said, moving the finger away. Do you have any friends? She asked, seeing him have a downcast look. I only have Hinata-chan as a friend. I don't have that many due to them being my brother and sister's friends now. Quote. He said sadly, making her frown. Tell me, Naru-kun, do your parents ever notice you? She asked, seeing him shake his head. No, they focus solely on my brother and sister, and plan to make my brother Menma the clan heir when it should be me, since I'm the firstborn. Quote. He said, seeing her raise an eyebrow with a frown on her face. I sense neglect, so they favor those two over him. This is the boy I've received this disturbance from. He's the one. Hachishiku-sama's thought. I will see you soon, Naru-kun, Hachishiku-sama said as she started to vanish. Wait, where are you going? When will I see you again? He yelled, but she vanished. Who was she? And why was she in his dream? The next day, it was the triplets' birthday as there was a big party held in the Namikaze household. For the Menma Namikaze Uzumaki and Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki. Lots of presents given from other clans and whatnot. It was then Minato had announced Menma as clan heir. Naruto was in window with a sad look after hearing that as he decided to walk away from his window. Worst birthday ever. Hinata and her mother arrived who looked to be pregnant carrying her little sister Hanabi. Kushina walked up to them. Hitomi-chan. Hinata-chan. Welcome to the party. Here for Menma and Naruto's big day. Kushina said with a smile as her friend surprisingly glared at her. We aren't here for neither of them, we are here for Naruto-kun. Said Hitomi, who was very displeased with her friend after Hinata had told her what happened. Naruto. Why are you here for him? She asked with Hitomi's glare increasing. It's his birthday too, you know. So it's true that you do favor your other son and daughter over him. Says Hitomi with disgust written on her face with Kushina looking shocked. Wait a minute Hitomi, it's not like that. I love all three of my children. Said Kushina, hoping her friend doesn't think that way about her. If that were true, then why are you not defending Naruto's right to be clan heir? Said Hitomi said with anger with Kushina flinching and looking away. Hitomi-chan, please hear me out. Kushina decided to say but was cut off when Hitomi spoke again walking past her. You disappoint me Kushina, and you call yourself a Uzumaki. We are getting Naruto and taking him somewhere special for his birthday since this party is about your favorites. Hissed Hitomi with Kushina looking hurt by that watching. Hitomi-chan wait. Pleaded Kushina, who started to go after her friend and try to explain. As soon as they got into the house, Hinata decided to upstairs since she knew where Naruto's room would be. Naruto-kun, it's me. Hinata would open the door and only saw the room empty, but she did spot a note on his bed. Walking over to it, she picked it up and began reading it, only for her eyes to widen and tears shed as she immediately ran out his room, running past Kushina and her mother. Hinata-chan. Her mother said, seeing her daughter run past her crying as she decided to go to the room to see what made her daughter run like that as she saw the note and picked it up, reading it also, only for her to widen her eyes. Hinata wait. Screamed Hitomi. Hitomi, what's going on? Kushina asked, only to receive a slap from her friend, shocked that her friend slapped her. This is all you and Minato's fault. Because of both of your actions your firstborn son is running away. Screamed Hitomi, who ran after her daughter as Kushina looked worried and widened her eyes as she looked saddened. What have I done? Kushina thought, running to go alert Minato. With Naruto. He couldn't take it anymore. He couldn't stand to live there at his family's house and decides to run away. What did it matter if he did run away? It's not like they are going to care anyway since they're so focused on his siblings. He would keep running, that was until he heard that sound again. Ho, 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 ho. He stopped in his tracks as he turned and saw Hachishika-sama in the alleyway. Widening his eyes, he couldn't believe she's actually here. And that she's real. Ready to go Naruto-kun, she said in her soft voice. Yes, was his reply. As she let out a hand, waiting for him to accept it. He slowly walked towards her hand, getting ready to accept it. Not that far from him, Hinata had made it and saw him with a very tall woman she has never seen before. Naruto-kun, she yelled, running towards him. Only for her to be too late as he grabbed a hold of Hachishika-sama's hand as the two instantly vanished, shocking Hinata. Naruto-kun, screamed Hinata. Having took Naruto away from Konoha, Hachishika-sama is taking the boy somewhere special on his birthday. Where are we going, Hachi? Naruto asked with her carrying him. To the amusement park. For your birthday. Have you been to one? She said, looking down at him, seeing him shake his head, which of course she knew his parents doesn't seem to involve him into anything. Well, you and I are going to have plenty of fun on your birthday. Hachishika-sama said with a warm, gentle smile on her face. As they suddenly reached to the amusement park, as Naruto widened his eyes at the amount of rides, games and other fun stuff such as animals, clowns, but there is one problem. There is no one at the amusement park but Naruto and Hachishika-sama. Funhouses, balloons everywhere, snack bars. Naruto looked really excited as Hachishika-sama smiled and giggled as the two walked to the first ride. The merry-go-round. The two would also be on a trolley or train with a monkey wearing a train conductor hat. As Naruto sat close to Hachishika-sama, with her putting her arm around him, which he liked. The two would eat vanilla ice cream together, as Naruto shared some of his with her. The two would play with each other in the pen with colorful balls. Hachishika-sama giggled as Naruto for the first time in his life laughed with a wide smile at the 8-foot-tall woman. She would take him to see animals, such as lions, tigers, elephants, seals and any other circus-related animal. They would be on a grassy field with green bright grass and flowers as they ran up the hill and rolled down to the bottom in each other's arms, laughing and giggling without a care in the world. Naruto would pick up some flowers and give some to her, which made her blush and smile accepting them. Hachishika-sama would piggyback Naruto on her back running across the grassy field. Naruto exclaimed with Hachishika-sama now tossing him up in the air as she caught him, seeing that he liked that. Now they are eating ice cream and cake as she put some candles on the birthday cake. As he smiled looking at the cake, this was the best birthday ever. Blow out the candles, Naru-kun, make a wish, said Hachishika-sama. I wish I could stay with you, Hachishika-sama. Naruto shouted as he blew all his candles as she cheered happily, smiling. Both him and her are eating the cake with more ice cream. And later on at night, it was the fireworks being set as her and him sat together on the field watching the fireworks. He leaned up against her, as she had her arm around him, smiling with a faint blush on her cheeks. Naru-kun. She spoke softly. Yes. He replied back, looking up at her. Do you know why your parents are neglecting you over your brother and sister? She asked, seeing him lose his smile. I don't know really. Every time I ask when could they train me, they would ignore me, even, and look the other way. Same with my godparents. But one night I overheard them mention about preparing Menma and Naruto up for some kind of challenge or prophecy. Quote. He said, having remembered how he eavesdropped on his parents that one night. Hachishika-sama was silent hearing him explain, but then her eyes widened slightly when he mentioned a prophecy. So they neglected their firstborn over their other children and is preparing them for this prophecy. It seems she will have to send her spirit form into the summoning realm to research what prophecy. But she has a hunch that all three of Minato and Kushina's kids are involved in it, or maybe only one of them. She focused her eyes on Naruto for a bit. I just want to be just as important and special as my brother and sister, he said, looking downcast, not aware of Hachishika-sama's shadowed expression and did not see her evil wicked smile. Oh, those fools, they do not realize they casted away their only hope. Who could possibly be in the center of this prophecy? Hachishika-sama said in thought as she had a very evil plan growing in her mind. If she plays her cards right and influence Naruto in her own image, she could help him with his revenge and let him give all who wronged him hell. Aaron Naru-kun, if you want to be as special and important as your siblings, I could help you with that, said Hachishika-sama, with him now looking at her with hope in his eyes. Can you? Naruto asked as she nodded with a warm smile. Of course. It's what I do, Hachishika-sama said with a bright smile. Really? Awesome. I get training. Naruto cheered happily. Oh, this is just too perfect. All I need to do now is let the hate for his family and everyone who wronged him grow within him, push him to vengeance, and maybe torture his own family with great vengeance and furious anger. Quote. She said in thought with a hidden sadistic smile. When do we start? Naruto said, too excited. Oh, we will start very soon, Naru-kun. First let's find us a place we can call home. She said, carrying him in bridal style. Oh yes. This was definitely going to be fun. Her and Naruto-kun together. She will help him and make him her ideal of a young partner and mate. He's a little too young for her to mate with her. Maybe when he's like 12 then she can start, but first she must train him and empower him with enough to crush his siblings and watch as his mother, father and godparents witness true vengeance and the fear to victory. She can hardly wait to hear the agonizing and blood-curdling screams. Oh, how doomed the elemental nations are. Now in the Hokage office, Minato along with his wife Jiraiya, Tsunade, Hitomi, Hinata and Hiruzen, even Makoto came. Shizune was currently at the Konoha hospital managing it for Tsunade. Everybody calm down. How did this happen? Minato says, wondering what possessed Naruto to just get up and leave. Hiruzen just glared at Minato. Hitomi had told him what happened and gave him the letter. How did this happen? For someone who's a leader of the village and very smart. You don't even know your own son. Hitomi hissed with Kushina flinching at her tone. Even Minato winced. Hitomi-chan, please, Kushina said, trying to reason with her best friend. Quiet, Uzumaki-san. Because of you and Minato, Naruto-kun is gone with some stranger. Hissed Hitomi. Wait a minute, what do you mean gone? Why would Naruto leave on his birthday? Asked Makoto Uchiha. Hinata-chan, can you tell us who took Naruto? Surely you saw him going with someone after you told me. Hitomi asked her daughter as everyone focused on her. She looked angry, glaring at those responsible for hurting Naruto-kun. Who I saw with him was a big woman. Hinata answered with everyone looking confused. Big woman? How big? Jiraiya asked. I can't tell. She was very tall and big. She wore a white dress, sandals and a straw hat on her head. She had pale skin and long black hair. Hinata said, describing Hachishiku-sama with the adults in the room absorbing description Hinata had mentioned. That's odd, we don't have that many tall women in Konoha. Pondered Tsunade. But what could this tall woman want with Naruto? How could she take? Makoto spoke with Hinata cutting her off. She didn't take him. He went with her willingly. I saw what I saw. Said Hinata as she probably knew why he went willingly. I don't understand. Makoto asked with Hitomi giving her a look. Why don't you ask Uzumaki-san and Namikaze-san? They are mostly the blame for this. Hitomi said with Makoto looking at the two who did not meet her look. Kushina, what is Hitomi talking about? Asked Makoto with Kushina not looking her way. We focused more on Menma and Naruto, because they both held the Kyuubi within them. I wanted to train him, but Minato-kun says we should focus on both of them. Quote. Kushina answered with Makoto looking appalled. So basically you neglected him. Leaving him out. How could you? Screamed Makoto looking outraged. Please listen, Makoto-chan. It wasn't like that. Kushina would try to see only for Makoto to blaze her Sharingan to life, glaring at her best friend. Now let's not get hasty, Jiraiya said, only to flinch from both Makoto and Hitomi's look. Hiruzen joined in, glaring. Shut it, you fucking hermit. You're Naruto's godfather. How could you neglect him? You and Tsunade both are just as guilty as they are. And because of your stupidity, he's gone with some woman we have never seen before. Makoto ranted. Wait a minute now. It's not my fault that the little brat ran away with a stranger. Jiraiya defended himself. It's pretty much all of your faults that he ran with this stranger and now we may never know where he is. If anything, he just may be much better with this stranger. Hiruzen said with Minato glaring. Hold on there, Sarutobi, that's my son you are talking about. Minato says with anger on your face. Son. I'm sorry, but did you just say, son? I thought Menma was your son. You, Kushina, Tsunade, and Jiraiya are all to blame for this, neglecting your firstborn over some prophecy by focusing all your attention on Menma and Naruto. You better pray to Kami that Naruto doesn't become scorned and seeks vengeance upon all of you. Hiruzen shot back as he left, leaving Minato and the rest stunned from his words. Come Hinata-chan, we are going home. Hitomi said, not wanting to look at her friend anymore as both of them left. Makoto decided to leave. Makoto-chan, wait. Please let me explain. Kushina said with a pleading look. The Uchiha woman turned and scowled at her former best friend. I don't know who you are anymore. Makoto says as she left, leaving Kushina to tears. We need to find out who that woman was that took Naruto. And get him back. Minato says. But how? How can we find him? Kushina said with tears in her eyes. I don't know honestly. I'll have the tracker team investigate on this maybe and see Consume's dogs get the scent of this stranger. Minato says. With Naruto and Hachishiku, she carried the boy in piggyback as they traveled far into the west. The two would venture through the western lands and plains. She would look for a perfect place for them to call home. And knew the perfect one where no man or person has ever set foot in. And the place she was going to was Inanaki village, a cursed village that no one would ever set foot in and would never come back alive. You must take a small side road past Old Inanaki Tunnel to find the village. It's small and easy to miss, so most people don't ever find it. She spotted the tunnel that appears to be sealed up, which looks like the work of those damn monks who sealed it up. Looking annoyed. If you're brave enough to enter yourself, it's said the village is full of traps and the villagers themselves will attack you with hatchets and sickles. There's no phone service either, so you'll be completely on your own. The village is said to have been isolated from the outside world since the Edo period, and because of that, the government treats them as a special reservation. If you're foolish enough to go in there, you are entirely on your own, and no one who has entered has ever escaped alive. Hachishiku-sama felt no fear from this place. She was going to make this both hers and Naruto's home and village. And because of her yokai aura and influence, she can shift the village in her own way. She gently laid Naruto down and unsheathed her sword and cut down the seals as the barrier was lifted. She picked him up and went inside the haunted tunnel. It's said you'll hear howling and screaming in the woods of Inanaki Ridge. And Inanaki Village, the most fearsome of all. The haunted tunnel had seemed to respect Hachishiku-sama along with who she brought. Its curse has no effect over her or Naruto for that matter because of her influence. Having reached the end of the tunnel, she gazed at the haunted village. Vacant and in current ruins. Corpses. It seems the villagers were driven insane and had killed each other. No sign of life here in this village. Everything here looked barren. No grass, no animals, or even water. Good. Since she can control the dead, maybe she can manipulate the dead to rebuild this broken down village. But before she could do that, she would find them a place to stay at. She went into what looks like a house big enough for a family to live here in peace. Walking inside, she smiled. She found a bed for Naruto to rest on since he was still asleep. Walking out the house, she smiled heavily. She would raise her slender arms and flare her yokai chakra, spreading it all over the village, reviving the dead. Corpses would moan after being revived as they all turned towards their master who revived them. Rebuild and fix this village. I want it in good shape for my mate. She ordered, and without question, they carried out her demand and started getting to work. Now all she had to do was see how to make Naruto special since she promised him. She will look for a way to make him special and then train him, plus drive him to hate his family to get his revenge upon them. Konoha one whole day later. At the Hokage Tower. Well, what could you get from your dog's Sume? Asked Minato. Well, we followed the scent of Naruto as it ended near an alleyway. She explained as he nodded, waiting for her to continue about the stranger who Naruto gone with. And he said, as for the stranger. The moment the dogs sniffed the scent, the dogs became spooked all of a sudden and whimpered. I don't know what could have frightened them like that. Sume said with Minato now raising a brow. Her dogs are afraid of something that took Naruto. Just what it is they are afraid of. I see. Thank you for your help, said Minato, seeing her walk off as he sighed. I take it you heard that Jiraiya-sensei. Minato says with his sensei appearing out the window. Yes. Hard to believe Sume's dogs would be afraid of whoever took Naruto. The Toad Sage pondered. You think we should ask for the toads for guidance? Minato asked with Jiraiya nodding. I suppose it won't hurt to ask them. Maybe they could shed some light on the situation of our culprit and know who she is. And the fact that she could teleport, said Jiraiya, now summoning Ma and Pa in the office. What seems to be the problem, Jiraiya boy and Minato boy? Said Pa, looking at both of them. Ma and Pa, we need your help. My son Naruto had ran away with some tall woman. Minato said with both frowning. He ran away. What did you do? Accused Ma with a glare as both men flinched. Well, we have been focusing on Menma and Naruto's training and never trained Naruto. Jiraiya answered with both now glaring at him. So you neglected your own tadpole? Growled Pa with anger on his face. Pa and Ma, it wasn't like, Minato says, but Pa slammed his cane on the ground. Don't lie to us, Minato boy. Because every time Jiraiya mouths off about Menma, not once did we hear him say anything about Naruto. And we suspected something was wrong. How could you two focus on your other two tadpoles and not your first one? Yelled Pa, looking ready to beat them. Because of the prophecy the great Toad Elder foretold. That a great evil from the west will come and change the fate of the shinobi world. I believed that Naruto and Menma are also in the mix of this, so we decided to train them how to harness their Kyuubi chakra. Jiraiya explained, with both the toads looking more angrier. And you both thought it was okay to just cast Naruto boy to the side and focus your full attention on both of them. Yelled Ma with them looking away. We plan to train him someday, it's just that Menma and Naruto are our top priority and that we should prepare them against this great evil. Said Minato, flinching from the looks both toads sent him. And pray tell us who did Naruto boy ran off with? Since we could tell he felt like he wasn't as important as his siblings. We are so disappointed in both of you. You can forget having Menma sign our contract. Said Pa with both of them looking shocked. What? Why? I had promised Menma that I would take him as an apprentice and teach him the way of the toads. Jiraiya asked, looking shocked. Because that boy isn't worthy of being taught and trained by us. He's clearly arrogant. Naruto deserves to learn from us. But you idiots destroyed that by making him run away. Now tell us who was this stranger he ran off with. Surely you know who the culprit is. Shouted Ma. He ran off with some tall woman. From what Hitomi's daughter mentioned, she was very tall, pale skin. She wore a straw hat and a white morning dress and some sandals and long black hair. Jiraiya had answered as both toads who listened suddenly lost color on their skin hearing the description of who that culprit was and had looks of fear. He went with her, said Pa with wide eyes full of fear. Minato and Jiraiya noticed how fearful both toads were. Her. Do you know who she is? Asked Jiraiya. Of course we know who this is. And she's not someone we should cross or anger. She was supposed to be imprisoned. Said Ma, who was trembling in fear of who this woman was who Naruto went with. Who is she? And why do you both fear her so much? Asked Minato, who was surprised by this. She's a demon. A monster. A killer of children. Exclaimed Pa. Both men looked taken back by this. Who are you talking about? Asked Jiraiya as both toads looked at them with fear still on their faces. We are talking about Hachishika-sama, the 8 feet tall woman. She is something you both know very little about. Answered Pa. And you say she kills children? Asked Minato with the edge of fear, hoping this woman doesn't target his other 2 children. She does. Rumor has it that when you are liked by Hachishika-sama you are destined to die in a few days. By her hands, and she won't stop at nothing until she gets what she wants. said Ma with fear in her voice. So you think it's possible that she killed Naruto? Asked Jiraiya as both shook their heads. We do not know. It's possible, but we don't know what are her intentions with Naruto boy. Never thought she would come from the west to take him. Pa says. You're saying that as if she's been here to the east before. Said Jiraiya. She's been to the east here, in the elemental nations. She was here when the era of the Sage of the Six Paths was present and rumored to be seen in the First and Second Shinobi War, kidnapping and killing many young victims. Explained Pa. So how do we get Naruto back from her? Asked Minato. That is a bad sign. Taking away someone she likes will lead to bloodshed. Said Ma. Well, can't we have your assistance in getting him back from her? Asked Jiraiya. No. They both said in unison, shocking both men. Why? Shouted Minato. We can't be involved. She can send her spirit form into the summoning realm. Said Ma. Do not provoke her. She's not someone you want to anger. Please heed our warnings. We must bring this up with the entire summons in the summoning realm that she has returned. Said Pa. Hey, wait. We need your help. Pleaded Minato. I'm afraid we cannot help you. This is out of our hands. Just heed our warning, because if not, Hachishinku-sama will kill you all. She's not just a child killer, but a bringer of death. Said Ma as both of them vanished, leaving the two stunned. What do we do? Asked Minato. We must tell Kushina along with Tsunade. They need to know this. And we must pay very close attention on Menma and Naruto. She might just target them next. Jiraiya says. Inanaki village. Naruto wakes up and smells food being cooked. He noticed he was in a house, meaning Hachishinku-sama found a place. He found her in the kitchen cooking pork ramen since she had leave the village to hunt a boar and bring water and the ingredients to cook ramen. Era. You're up, Naru-kun. She said with him coming towards her, sitting on a chair as she brought him his bowl of ramen. He smiled and started eating as she sat by him eating hers. So where are we, Hachi-chan? He asked. We found our own village, Naru-kun. We both own it and we will be living here for eternity. She explained. Awesome. So I can be my own cage. He said with a smile. Exactly. And when we get the chance, I'm going to make you as special as your siblings that I promised you. She said with him beaming at that. I can hardly wait. He said, beamed. That worthless idiot. Growled Menma. He ruined everything. He added in frustration. As Naruto looked at her brother, who was blaming on their way other brother Naruto, who ran away. He ruined our birthday party. I hate him. Ranted Menma while Naruto looked away from him, ignoring his ranting. As she looked out in the window with a sad face. I'm sorry, Naruto. She thought, only hoping that her older brother will be okay. With Minato. He went with WHO. Screamed Kushina, looking pale and frightened for the boy she neglected. Minato and Jiraiya told her of who her son had went with willingly, and told not just Kushina but Tsunade as well, as both women were shocked. Hachishinku-sama. Muttered Tsunade as she recalled how her great-grandfather and great-grandma Mito told her the story about Hachishinku-sama. We must get my baby boy back. She shouted. She feels horrible for what she had done. Kushina, I'm afraid it's impossible to get him back. We don't even know where he is. Says Minato, trying to calm her down. I don't care. I want my son back. She yelled. We don't know where to find her or know where she is. The toads refuse to help us and are angry with us as well due to focusing on Menma and Naruto. Says Jiraiya, just wondering how big of a deal this Hachishinku-sama is. And whose fault do you think that is? Says a voice as they turned over and saw the Sandaime Hokage. All of you abandoned Naruto over some prophecy, and now he's in the hands with the most infamous urban legend of all time since the Sage of the Six Paths. Sarutobi says, with them looking away and feeling a bit guilty for what they let happen. You better pray to Kami that he doesn't try to come here and attack everyone out of great vengeance and furious anger. He says with Jiraiya frowning. Sensei, how do we know for sure that Naruto will turn out like that? It's not like him to attack us or his own family. He says with his sensei scoffing. For your sake I hope you're right, but it's a possibility that he will do it, not to mention the neglect he had endured from his parents and godparents, whom favored his brother and sister over him. Sarutobi would say as they looked down, with Kushina looking close to tears. She called herself a mother and she neglected her firstborn over her other son and daughter. She has a feeling Mito Uzumaki is probably watching her from the heavens with a look of disappointment and disapproval. She has to make things right and make amends for ignoring and neglecting her little boy. So what do we now? Asked Tsunade. We cannot do nothing. We will have to accept that Naruto is gone forever. We don't know if the Hachishiku-sama killed him or not. Minato would say that was until he was met with a stinging slap to his face. So you're just gonna forget all about your firstborn? Abandon him to an urban legend? Kushina yelled, ready to beat the hell out of Minato. Kushina, face it, there is nothing we can do, he's gone and could be probably dead. We have to move on and focus on Menma and Naruto. Hachishiku-sama could target them next if we don't keep a watchful eye on them. He says while her eyes narrowed. You don't care about Naruto at all, do you? Exclamation mark quote. She accused. That's not what I'm saying and you know that. He said with defense. Bullshit. You claim he's already dead and just accept the fact that he's gone so quickly. I don't believe it. She says with anger. Oh, and what makes you think Hachishiku-sama did not kill him? He asks with a raised eyebrow. I don't know, but I just have this feeling that he's alive and that she didn't kill him. She admitted she has a feeling that he's alive and as well. But probably under Hachishiku-sama's influence against his will to go with her, knowing the yokai can do that to her young victims. Kushina-chan. I know you miss him and all, but right now we have to focus on our other two kids. To prepare them for this prophecy. He says, putting his hand on her shoulder in a comforting way, but she pushed it off. Don't touch me, she hissed, walking away, not wanting to speak to her husband. Hiruzen sighed as he knew it was time to go. Minato sighed himself, wondering what will he do about this situation. Don't worry, kid. She just needs a little more time. Right now we have important things to do. Jiraiya says with Minato nodding. Inanaki village. After eating lots of ramen from Hachishiku-sama. The boy is currently looking at his new caretaker, who smiled at him. She knew the plan to make him special, and that was to turn him into a yokai. Like she is. She grinned evilly. Her blood. Her blood is the answer for all this. She grabs a knife and slits her palm of her hand, letting drops of blood fall in Naruto's tea. After letting a few drops fall in there, she healed her cut and then flared a little of her yokai chakra into the tea. Then stirs it up as it glowed a red ominous aura. The whole cup of tea did as she smiled. As she finished stirring, she brought to him. Ah, what's that, Hachi-chan? He asks, seeing her come to him. It's my special tea I created. I thought you should try it. She says, handing him her cup as he accepted it and drank its contents, unaware of the wicked smile on her face. That tasted good. What you put in it? He asked. Oh, just my special ingredient. She says with a smile. At full moon it will change him. Was her thoughts looking at her future ideal of a young partner or mate. Later on that night, as the moon illuminated, it was full, flaring its lunar glow and brightness as it shines down on the Inanaki village, on the house Hachishiku-sama and Naruto were both now in bed with her. A great change had happened to his body. As his human blood had changed to yokai blood. His appearance had changed. Instead of being a 6-year-old, he had grew to the age of 15. Significantly taller and older looking. His hair grows long that it protrudes out the back of his head. The top half of his hair is white while the bottom half of his hair is black. The transformation had been complete. No more was he a human but a full-blooded yokai. As the morning came, Hachishiku-sama was shocked at his appearance. She could feel the power of yokai chakra surround him. Has her blood ascended him into a daiokai like her? And not a typical normal yokai. He began to take up, opening his eyes. His pupils were narrowed and no longer blue but red. What is this? Why do I feel different? He asks, getting up out of the bed only to widen his eyes at his new permanent appearance. Whoa. It was then he noticed his voice had changed. It was much calmer and cold, yet slight sinister. Hachishiku was too stunned to say anything. She had realized what she had done. What happened to me? He asked, looking at his appearance in the mirror. That would be my doing, Naru-kun. Remember how I said I would make you special? She says with him nodding as she explained how she done it. So. I'm a full-blooded yokai. He asks with her nodding. Excellent. A thin smile played on his face looking at his new appearance, then turned towards Hachishiku-sama. It seems I will have to thank you for turning me into this. He says with a grin, walking towards Hachishiku-sama, who winced seeing him walk towards her and then surprisingly kiss her on the lips, making her widen her dark blue eyes. The kiss broke apart as she blushed looking at him. Now my dear, let's get something to eat. He would say, walking away. She looked at him with clear lust. She didn't think her blood would turn him into daiokai. It was as if she had accidentally turned him into a yokai lord. Now her plans will go further for him. Along with the future of the East. Minato sighed. Things have not been going well for him. Ever since Naruto has gone with this Hachishiku-sama, things have not gone well for him. And not in a good way. His family is falling apart. Though he, Jiraiya and Tsunade are currently training Menma and Naruto. Kushina, on the other hand, drifted from their training. She didn't want no part in training them anymore. Ever since Naruto gone with Hachishiku-sama, Kushina refused to talk to Minato and she never came home. She went to a motel. He has to get her back to help train their children. He decided to go find his wife and talk to her. With Kushina, who was in her motel room, having left the Namikaze manor. While drinking sake, getting drunk to drink away her sorrows and that she is a horrible mother. She would not stop crying tears of what she had done. Her friends, Hitomi and Makoto, doesn't want to talk to her or ever see her again because of how she neglected her son. Why did she do it? Why did she even listen to Minato? She cried harder. Her firstborn is gone. Gone with this Hachishiku-sama. She heard stories of the 8-foot-tall woman and what she does in her nature towards young victims. Hachishiku-sama is a yokai. A vengeful one at that. This demon always targets children and kidnaps them. It's unknown what she does to her captive victims. Some tales of the legend says she kills children for the pleasure. Or devours them. And not that Hachishiku-sama is a child killer. But a bringer of death. And now, that monster has her son. A son she neglected. Kushina shed tears. What kind of mother is she? She did not believe Hachishiku-sama killed her son. She took another sip of her sake bottle. That was until she heard a knock at the door. She went to go see who it was as she opened it. Only to scowl at the person she did not want to see right now. It was her husband Minato. What do you want? ! She hissed at him. Please. Kushi-chan. Come home. The children miss you. I miss you. Please. He begged. Go away. She says, closing the door, but he stopped it. Kushina, please. Don't do this. Come home. Naruto and Menma misses you. Don't neglect them. He said, but dodged a sake bottle. Don't you dare accuse me of neglecting them. I gave them plenty of time. And plenty of love and attention. Which is something that I should have given to my firstborn. I don't know why the hell I even listened to you when you first told me about this prophecy. And that it involves both of children who carried the Kyuubi. How do we know for sure that the prophecy is true? Hissed Kushina, ready to beat the brakes off Minato, who raised his hands up in defense. Jiraiya-sensei says the prophecy is true. He heard from the great Toad Elder himself. A great evil is coming from the west and wishes to change the elemental nations as we know it. And both Menma and Naruto are in the center of it because they both have the Kyuubi in them. Which is why we are preparing them for this prophecy to save the world. Don't you want that, Kushina? Minato says with her glaring at him. Did we have to abandon our firstborn though? Did we have to ignore him? And act like he didn't exist? Because of a fucking prophecy. When you first brought it up to me and mentioned about training Menma and Naruto, I asked what about our son Naruto? And you said that he can't join because he wasn't the prophecy child like Menma and Naruto. We still could have trained him and gave him attention. Now he's gone and it's pretty much our fault. Because we treated him like an outcast. And he probably no doubt hates us. Kushina yelled with more hot tears from her eyes as Minato tried to approach her and bring her into a hug, but she shoved him out her hotel room. He widened his eyes seeing her angry expression. Her red puffy eyes. Kushi-chan. He says in a pleading tone looking up at her. Fuck you, Minato. She slammed the door hard. He sighed. He'll have to give her more time to grieve. What will he do now? His kids both need their mother for this training. Inanaki village. Now with Hachishiku having gotten used to being a full-fledged yokai. The two of them are eating ramen together. While watching the corpses keep fixing up the village. So far the corpses are making crops. Crops enough to grow vegetables, maybe make a rice field, a hay field. Now all they needed was water to revive the barren lands of their village and also grow trees and other plant life. They would need animals here too. Like cows, chicken and whatnot, even fish. The houses and buildings are being fixed and built up by the undead. They would have to dig deeper in order to find water in the watering hole. It seems we would have to go on a raid to steal the necessary resources we need for our village. Naruto says. That won't be necessary, Naru-kun. I could command the corpses to leave the village and get that for us. Hachishiku-sama says while mentally controlling the corpses to do just that. Let's get more acquainted. Tilda. She says huskily with lust. Oh. He raises a brow. Seeing her come close. Let's do it, Naru-kun. She says grabbing his hand leading him into a bedroom. As they went into a bedroom. She undressed first, showing her form, in which he finds attractive and alluring. She helps him take off his clothes revealing his thick large member. She blushed looking at his developed member. Put it inside me, Naru-kun. She says laying down on the bed as he got up on the bed and put himself inside her suddenly feeling a hot feeling flow through him. She moaned a little feeling himself inside her. Naruto suddenly felt the instinct to thrust himself inside her. As she moaned lightly feeling him thrust inside her. With her bouncing slightly. From him thrusting into her. This feels good. He's never felt something like this before. As he continued to plow himself inside her. Make me yours, Naru-kun. Make me yours. She moaned as he kept thrusting inside her. She wrapped her slender arms around him and pulled him into her heavy massive chest. As he inhaled her vanilla scent while he kept thrusting inside her. She moaned in pleasure feeling her partner thrust himself inside her deeper. She tightened around him inside as he still plowed through her. Her nails lengthened into sharp claws as dragged her nails on his skin leaving claw marks. Her eyes turned red briefly. And moaned opening her mouth revealing her sharp teeth and long tongue. Naruto in turn, had his nails lengthen into claws and did the same to her back. Leaving claw marks on her. As they both kissed one another. Hachishiku-sama and Naruto stared into one another's eyes kissing, holding each other and being intimate with one another. Hachi-chan. Something is coming out. He groaned. Release it inside me. Naru-kun. Release it all inside me. She moaned wanting his seed inside her. Thrusting a few more times inside Hachishiku-sama. Naruto released his first load of cum inside Hachishiku-sama, As she moaned, throwing her head back with her hat falling off her head, she could feel his sperm impregnate her womb. As she held him, held her new lover, as he too held her, the two would rest from their love making. 4 months later, Inanaki village is recovering greatly. The grounds, the soil and dirt was no longer barren. Grass had grown. The crops had grown vegetables. Trees were slowly growing to life. Houses and buildings became good as new. The watering hole filled with water that had been dug up deep from the ground. The corpses were still working. Still putting the village in great shape. On their new mansion stood Naruto, who watched the newly revived Inanaki village grow to life. Besides him is Hachishiku-sama, who is heavily pregnant, looking down at her stomach, rubbing it, smiling, knowing the life that's growing inside her. Naruto looked up at his tall wife with a smile, happy that he gets to form a family of his own. They both held hands and looked at the village that is still in progress of being revived to full life. Inanaki village 6 years later. The village has been successfully revived. Grass everywhere. Insects in the fresh soil with butterflies flying. Trees grown large and massive strong. Red spider lilies in some parts of the grassland. A waterfall that unleashes fresh pure water along with fish now in lakes and river. Forest animals in the forest waltzing. Rice fields grown along with crops full of all vegetables and fruits. Houses fully completed and restored. The corpses had been laid to rest since they have restored Inanaki village by Hachishiku-sama's order. Now that the village is restored and rich, full of prosperity to Hachishiku-sama's liking and Naruto's liking. Though the cursed village is still cursed. Even the tunnel itself is cursed still. No one would dare come here. The monks had sealed up this village because it was haunted and cursed. But since Hachishiku-sama came here and destroyed the seal so that her and Naruto can live their lives here and eat. RNITY. Inanaki village is closed off from the western lands that Naruto and Hachishiku-sama live in. In the west there are multiple domains and other lands ruled by lords, governors and warlords. There are other demons in the west who praise after humans. Now, inside the village was the family itself who owns the whole Inanaki village. 4 children in front of their parents. The first child is a boy. Pale youth and dark hair like his mother. Blue eyes like his father. His hair is long that is tied up to a ponytail and bangs that pass his chin, often covering parts of his emotionless face. He wears a black kimono with many white anchor-shaped patterns and wears sandals. Besides the boy is his pet horse, a beautiful white horse named Midori. His mother gave him this horse on his birthday. And what is our boy's name? Hyakkimaru Uzumaki. Next to him is his sister, Takeo Uzumaki. She has long black hair with her father's blue eyes, as she wore a trench coat the color of red and likes to ask her father, was she pretty? She also likes to carry scissors and many other sharp objects. Her mouth is ear to ear as if she is smiling, with rows of sharp fangs. Besides her younger sisters, who are identical twins. Sadako Uzumaki, black hair with streaks of blonde hair from her father, wearing a white morning dress like her mother. Black eyes. Next to her is her twin Kayako Uzumaki. She was Sadako's twin sister with pale skin and black eyes, wearing a white gown like her mother, black hair with red streaks in her hair. These 4 are the children of Naruto Uzumaki and Hachishiku-sama. Hachishiku-sama still looks as beautiful as ever as she smiled down at the children she and Naruto made together. Naruto looked slightly older, wearing a black kimono with red whirlpools on them. He looked between his mid-20s or still 16. But he looks like he's in his 20s. He looked happy. For these 6 years, he loved his 8-foot wife and children. He loved all his 4 children equally. 6 years of happiness. With his own family. A family he made and created. With the person he loved the most. Hachishiku-sama. So kids. Ready for outing into the west. Naruto says, "Daddy, let's go to the amusement park." Again. Sadako says Naruto smiled at his daughter who was in a cheerful mood. Well, Hachi-chan, should we take them to the amusement park? He asked. I don't see why not. Hachishikusama says with her children smiling. Then let us go. Naruto says as he and his family get ready to go. Konoha at the moment. 6 years it has been since Naruto's disappearance. Things have not changed. Minato is still remains Hokage. While feeling not happy, his family is still somewhat shattered. Kushina still has not returned home to be with Minato, though she has visited her kids for brief moments before returning to her hotel room. That she has lived there for the past 6 years since Naruto's disappearance. 6 years living in solitude in that hotel away from her husband. Minato had tried desperately in pleading her to come back home where she belonged and for them to be a family again. But she closed him off and refused to acknowledge him, blaming him for the loss of their firstborn. While she too was as much as blame as he was, because she should have given her son the attention and love he deserved. But these past 6 years Kushina still believed that Naruto was alive and not killed by Hachishikusama. She had prayed to Kami that her son is still alive and not really killed by Hachishikusama like all the legends say. Knowing Hachishikuama is a child killer, Minato sighed. He misses his wife and wishes she could be with them. He knows both his son and daughter misses their mother. And he's done everything he could to get their mother to come back, but she refuses to even look him in the eye or even say a word to him. He tried having Tsunade to talk some sense into Kushina, but the redhead was also angry at Tsunade too and didn't want to talk to the busty blonde Senju. At least, Menma and Naruto are doing well in their training. The Toads still refused to have Menma on their summoning contract, thus denied Menma and Naruto Toad summoning and learn Toad Sage art. Naruto did have the slug summoning contract, but that was denied too when Gamabunta told Katsuya about Tsunade's actions in neglecting her godson as the slug bow. SS was very furious with Tsunade's actions and did not want Naruto to sign the slug contract. Things just aren't going well for him. At least his son and daughter will be Genin soon. With Menma, he glared at baby picture of Naruto. Menma was very angry at his brother and hated him. His brother ruined everything for him and Naruto. Menma was enraged when Jiraiya told him that the Toads refused having him sign their summoning contract and that he was not worthy in learning from them. He blamed his brother for that. Their mother, who never came home to stay with them. She would make brief visits and then leave. He also blamed Naruto for their mother to leave them. I hate you. Naruto. Menma says. Though not all was lost to him. He tried to get Hinata to acknowledge him and get to know him. But she refuses to acknowledge his presence. Meaning that Hinata still longs for Naruto. Must his brother take everything from him? With Naruto. She too have missed her mother, while also missing her brother. They were once a happy family. She can't understand everything has fallen apart. She tried to see Hinata one day and tried to befriend her, but the Hyuga girl shot her an angry glare. Hitomi and Makoto still haven't spoke to Kushina ever since Naruto vanished. Which means their friendship is estranged. She sighed sadly. Amusement park. Now at the amusement park where the family is. The first ride he got on was a Ferris wheel with Hachishikuama sitting beside him, who looked away from him with a slight blush holding his hands. Sadako, smiling with joy for her part, was on the Ferris wheel with Kayako. Hyakkimaru and Teiko were on another part of the wheel too. The next ride they got on were the teacups. As Hachishikuama took pictures with a camera she brought. The third ride they got on was the train trolley with the monkey, as the train conductor Naruto was sitting beside Hachi's. Haku-sama with her slender arm around him pulling him to her side, while Teiko and Hyakkimaru sat next to each other in the next seat. With Sadako and Kayako sitting on the next cart. Then they played games. The first game they played was ring toss. Hachishikuama tosses 8 rings. Hyakkimaru tossed 6 rings. Naruto tossed 9 rings. Sadako tosses 4 rings. Takeo tossed 7 rings. Kayako tossed only 5. The family had ice cream while Hyakkimaru, Sadako, Kayako and Takeo couldn't help but enjoy the sweet taste of vanilla ice cream. Sadako was too busy enjoying the taste of cotton candy with Hachishiku-sama feeding Naruto his cotton candy. Hyakkimaru was eating funnel cake, Takeo was eating hard candy and lollipops, and Kayako was eating some sweets too and eating a candy apple. Sadako played with the monkey that wore a train conductor hat. Hyakkimaru and Takeo played with toy katana swords with Kayako holding a bag of popcorn watching them. Hachishiku-sama and Naruto smiled watching their kids play and have fun. The whole family were having a great time at the amusement park. This is great. Look at our kids. Naruto says with Hachishiku-sama nodding. Po. Yes. They are having fun, Naru-kun. She agreed. Nothing is going to keep us apart or ruin this family. She adds looking at him and their children who are still playing. She will have to see what has changed in the east since they are in the west. The children are asleep, as Naruto and Hachishiku-sama are also sleeping. Hachishiku would wake up and quietly leaves her bed and bedroom as she gets ready to go visit the east. She grabs her sword and leaves Inanaki village. The east, elemental nations. Now in Konoha. It was night with a smile on her face. A dark smile. She stops by a orphanage. Looking at it, she flares her yokai power to lock the doors and windows. Then she begins to set the orphanage on fire. Setting it to blaze. She would vanish. She would then visit the Konoha hospital. Hachishiku-sama walked through hospital corridor. As she heard crying babies, she turned towards them and looked at them. The babies cried. Suddenly a dark smile crept on her face. She went to the maternity room where all pregnant women were. Who were asleep. She suddenly flared her yokai chakra in the whole room as it seeped into the pregnant women. Being a mother is going to be a lot more difficult. She then went to the Uchiha police station looking at it. She unsheathed her sword and went inside the station. Suddenly the Uchiha police looked up when they saw her. She lunged at them with a sadistic glee as the Uchiha police force tried to attack her and stop her. Blood splashed as she was covered in Uchiha blood. She continued to massacre and kill the Uchiha police force. As their screams filled the station, many were bisected, beheaded, stabbed, melted. What the hell is going on here? Yelled Fugaku with 3 elite Uchihas at his side. As he got to the scene he saw many of his Uchiha police officers slaughtered. Widening his eyes he couldn't believe that this has happened. Sir! Exclaimed a Uchiha elite pointing at Hachishiku-sama who turned to them. Whose face was covered in Uchiha blood. As she stood in the middle of the dead Uchiha police officers male and female. What the hell are you? Shouted Fugaku. Only to receive no answer. Tear the bitch apart. Fugaku yelled with rage. Hachishiku-sama smiled as she cackled as she saw the 3 come at her with swords in their hands. She made quick work of them by vanishing past them with their heads beheaded. You bitch. Fugaku weaved hand signs. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. Fugaku yelled blowing a homing fireball at Hachishiku-sama who cut the fireball in 2 with her sword as she charged at him. He turned on his Sharingan and grabbed 2 kunais. She thrusted her sword at him as he blocked with both kunais, but she was faster as she pushed him back and then hacked off his left arm making him scream in pain, then slashed down his stomach causing his blood to spray on her. She then beheaded him. As his head flew in the air and then landed on the ground. After massacring the Uchiha police force she burned the station down. She headed towards Tenzo's house as he slept. Finally catching up to him now fully asleep. She stabbed him over and over and over again. As she watched him die. With a smile on her face. She stepped outside and looked at the Hokage monument. She powered up her fist as a white bubble glowed around it as she sent it towards the monument. Destroying it with an earthquake slam. She grinned at the handiwork she's done. As she goes to the Hokage Tower. She killed the Anbu that was guarding the office and took the forbidden scroll. As she vanished. One morning, Minato could only have a horrified expression at the many reports of what just happened overnight. A whole orphanage of children was set on fire. The hospital disturbed him. He had heard from Tsunade that all mothers who were supposed to deliver babies delivered babies that had no skin, organs, eyes, noses, limbs or bones. The whole Uchiha police force had been massacred, including Fugaku Uchiha. An Anbu operative by the name of Tenzo had been murdered last night. The Hokage monument had been shattered. And worse of all, the forbidden scroll had been stolen. Who could have done such a thing? Who did all this in one night? Without setting an alarm. His Inuzuka nins told him that it was that same scent that was here years ago right after Naruto disappeared. No. It couldn't have been her. So it was Hachishiku-sama that did this. Hokage-sama. The council requests you, says a Anbu officer. Minato nodded. How was he going to explain this to everyone? Before he could leave his office he saw writing in blood on the wall. His eyes widened as he read it. Witness pure vengeance. I bestow a curse on this village. Our vengeance will know no bounds. The blood of those who died are on your hands. A curse. I need to find Jiraiya ASAP. Minato says. And what vengeance does Hachishiku-sama have with Konoha? What did they do to her that has angered her so? He could hear the screams of the orphans that died in that fire. He could hear the screams of the Uchiha police force who had been slaughtered. Oh my Kami. Please help us. Minato pleaded, hoping Kami had heard him. Minato looks at the many council members, look at him in fear and ask him multiple questions, and he wasn't sure which to answer first. What happened? Why were we attacked? Asked a civilian. Who dares destroy our Hokage monument? Snarled Homura. How did this happen? I heard the Uchiha clan police force had been slaughtered. Asked Kaharu, with Danzo remaining silent while silently upset that Tenzo had been killed. Makoto Uchiha, who was now taking her husband's spot on the council until Itachi had returned from his mission. When he returns, he is becoming the new clan head of the Uchiha clan. And why was the orphanage set on fire? Quote. Asked Choza. Kushina was not present. She didn't want to be by Minato or attend to the meeting. Everyone calm down. I'll ask all your questions. Minato says calmly, with everyone turning towards him. What do you think happened, Yondaime-sama? Have you investigated on who attacked us? Asked Sum. We are still investigating on how this all happened overnight. And find the culprit that did this. Minato assured, with many not believing that. Do you think it was Iwa or Kumo that planned this attack? Danzo asked. No. I'm afraid not. Though we are still investigating. He says not sure whether if he should tell them the truth of who did all this in one night. Still something doesn't add up. I've heard that all civilian women in the Konoha hospital gave birth to babies except they had no flesh. Eyes, noses, limbs. Yet they are alive. Shikaku says, with everyone looking pale and shocked by that. How did that happen? What did all of this? Asked Hiyashi, looking at his fellow clanheads. Hiruzen was sitting in the Sarutobi clanhead seat looking at Minato with a slight glare. He noticed the man's posture and body language. There is something that Minato is not telling them. You don't think it was Orochimaru who snuck in here and did all this, do you? Knowing he has a grudge with you for not becoming fourth Hokage. Pondered Inoichi, with many thinking of the snake Sanin. Possible. But it's unheard of how he exactly snuck in here and did all this without setting off alarms. Minato says so sure. Not wanting to exactly tell them who was responsible for all this. That made Hiruzen narrow his eyes. No one knew Orochimaru better but him. That was impossible. Sure, Hiruzen knew that Orochimaru is capable of many things and very crafty, but he knew his student wouldn't be dumb enough to pull such a stunt like this, especially with Anbu 2 Kage-level shinobi and 2 other Sannin-level shinobi around the village. Orochimaru may be downright cold and evil, but the baby incident, he knew Orochimaru had nothing to do with that. Meaning Minato is hiding something and not wanting to tell anyone who the real culprit is that did all this. Don't worry. We will mourn for those who have died last night and will double Anbu patrols to catch the perpetrator that did this. Minato says with everyone exchanging looks at one another. Meeting is over. Everyone is dismissed. He says with everyone leaving as he too left. With Hiruzen being the only one sitting there keeping his focus on Minato's retreating form. What are you hiding, Minato? Hiruzen thought. With Kushina, who was still in the motel sitting there with a sake bottle in her hand as she heard what has happened. She didn't even come to the meeting. She didn't even give damn. As she held up a photo of baby Naruto, she began to cry softly. Po, 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 chanted a deep masculine voice that made Kushina's skin crawl and widened her eyes looking around. She brought out her chakra chains. Po, 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 po. Kushina looked both ways on guard. P.O. Kushina jumped and directed all her chakra chains at something. Only to see her hit nothing but the wall. She gave a sigh of relief. Maybe her mind is playing tricks on her. Mother, says a voice that made Kushina widen her eyes. Mother, are you in there? Asked a soft voice. A voice that Kushina knew all too well. Sochi. She whispers. Naruto-kun. She says, looking at the door heading towards it to go open it to see was that her son. Come mother. Open up the door. Says. Naruto. Kushina desperately runs to the door and opens it. Only to widen her eyes seeing no one was at the door. Where is he? Where is he, damn it? I know you are here. Cut the shit. Where is my son? Give him back. Kushina screams out in rage. Give him back to me, damn it. Give him back. Raged Kushina with hot angry tears. Hachishiku-sama. Give him back to me. Exclamation mark quote. Kushina says in a cold whisper. Hachishiku-sama. Screamed Kushina looking rabid. There was only silence. Tap. 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 It was then Kushina heard tapping on the window. Turning towards it she saw a slender hand. Narrowing her eyes she ran to the window and saw Hachishiku-sama. Standing near a light pole. With an unsettling creepy smile. Kushina felt a chill run down her spine. As both her and Hachishiku-sama eyed each other. For mere moments neither broke eye contact. Where is he? Where is he, you child-killing bitch? Give me back my son. She yelled as Hachishiku-sama's creepy disturbing smile never left her. As Hachishiku-sama laughed darkly, Hachishiku-sama looked at Kushina with wide eyes and snarled demonically as she opened her mouth, unhinged her jaw revealing sharp demonic teeth and a long tongue. The sight of it made Kushina flinch and felt her blood turn cold. P.O. Hachishiku-sama teleported near the window so fast scaring the daylights out of Kushina, who jumped back in fear falling on her. Kushina whimpered as she slowly got back up at the window and looked out. She no longer saw Hachishiku-sama there. Meaning she's gone. She saw Hachishiku-sama. She saw Hachishiku-sama with her own eyes. I saw her. I saw her. Eyes wide she ran out the motel. Hokage Tower. A curse. Jiraiya muttered as Minato nodded. Yes. She left a message written in blood. Minato says, pointing to the message on the wall with Jiraiya reading it. Witness pure vengeance. I bestow a curse on this village. Our vengeance will know no bounds. The blood of those who died are on your hands. Jiraiya reads. What does she mean? Why would she come at us? And you don't think? Minato says with Jiraiya feeling a shiver down his spine recalling how his sensei warned them. Naruto. Jiraiya says in a whisper. But why? Surely Naruto wouldn't side with Hachishika-sama and plot revenge on us just because we focused more on his brother and sis. Tear. Minato says with Jiraiya going silent. Damn, he didn't think his sensei was serious when he said that Naruto just may get back at them with great vengeance and furious anger. Can't Naruto just accept that both his brother and sister are destined for greatness for this prophecy? Question mark. Does he seriously have to take his jealousy at us this far? By siding with a myth? Who's a demon? Damn it, sensei, why did you have to go and jinx us? Now Naruto wants to take his anger and jealousy out on us for focusing on his brother and sister. He was not meant to be the chosen one, which is not our fault. Damn that brat. Jiraiya growled in thought. What do we do? I haven't even told anyone of who the culprit is who did this. They would not believe me if I told them that Hachishika-sama is the one doing all of this. Minato says with Jiraiya frowning. My guess is as good as yours. The toad still refuses to help us. Jiraiya admitted. I'm more worried about this curse Hachishika-sama has placed on the village. Minato says with Jiraiya looking at him. Where are the children? Because Hachishika-sama may target them next. Jiraiya says urgently. Kakashi is out treating them to ramen. Damn, at times like this I need Kushina's help. Minato says. She still hasn't spoken to you. Has she at least interacted with her son and daughter? Jiraiya asks. She would only make brief visits with them. After that she would leave back to her motel. I tried to console her and get her to see reason on coming back, but she won't budge. Minato says sadly. Well, hang tight, kid. Jiraiya says, going for the window. Where are you going? His student asked. Going to visit some monks or priests to see if they have any knowledge on how to deal with Hachishika-sama. She must be stopped at all costs. Jiraiya says. And what about Naruto? If he really is in on this vengeance with Hachishika-sama, what do we do with him? Minato asks with Jiraiya giving him a hard look. I am afraid that decision falls on you, Minato. If it were up to me, I'd probably imprison him and seal off his chakra and throw away the key. Jiraiya answered as he jumped out the window, leaving Minato alone. Naruto, are you really willing to take it this far with us? Are you that angry with us? Jealous of your brother and sister? I know we never focused on you, but please, there's no need to take it this far. Minato says out loud, hoping he could at least try to reason with his son. Inanaki Village. Naruto is currently fishing, with his son Hyakkimaru by his side, who is also fishing. Teiko is chopping wood with her chainsaw, so that they could have firewood, as she would also feed Hyakkimaru's horse Midori some hay that they grew from the crops. Sadako is watching her television with Kayako sitting besides her twin sister while brushing her hair. Ah, I see you caught a fish, son, says Naruto, noticing his son catch a really big one. Thanks, father. Hyakkimaru says, looking at his father and the fish. Fishing are we, says Hachishika-sama, who appeared with Naruto walking to his wife as they both kissed each other, looking into one's eyes. Where have you been, my dear wife? Naruto says as she giggled and revealed a very large scroll. Let's just say I went on a trip and happened to have this on my hands. Hachishika-sama says with a sweet, gentle smile. What is it? Naruto asks, looking at the scroll. The forbidden scroll. Me and you are going to see what lies in here. We could use it to strengthen our village and us, my beloved Naru-kun. Hachishika-sama says with a smile. I'm looking forward to it. Naruto says with a grin. Now having the forbidden scroll at their disposal, Naruto, Hachishika-sama and their kids suddenly empowered themselves with vast knowledge of summoning, ninjutsu, taijutsu and sealed weapons. As Hachishika-sama unsealed the mask of Tarakudo, as both her and Naruto absorbed its power by having as many shadow cons as they want. Even their children were granted access to the mask of Tarakudo. After the mask had been completely drained by yokai family, Hachishika-sama destroyed the mask since her family has control over all shadow cons. Now with power at their disposal, they could be unstoppable. Our family. Hachishikusama is cooking right now for the family. Teiko is currently cutting hay with her scythe to bring to Hyakkimaru's horse. Sadako is playing hide and seek with her sister Kayako. Kayako is currently looking for her twin sister. Sadako. Where are you? She asks, looking around for her twin as she walked past a well. Sadako quietly came from her well, smiling that her sister can never find her here in one of her favo right hiding places. This well was her favorite hiding area. But also her television is also her hiding place since she can go inside the television. As she quietly walked away before Kayako would notice that her sister was in that well the whole time. Hyakkimaru is practicing archery. As he finished hitting every bullseye on each target, Naruto comes into the kitchen surprising Hachishikusama with a kiss while stroking her tall body. Naru-kun tilde. Hachishikusama moaned, feeling him behind her. What's for dinner? He asks while leaning close on her, inhaling her ever so vanilla scent. Oh, I'm making a large dinner. Since you and Hyakkimaru-kun did some fishing, we'll be having lots of roasted fish. Hachishikusama says. Well dear, in that case I'm leaving the village for a bit. Taking Hyakkimaru and Teiko with me. Naruto says. Oh. Going on a adventure, hope you bring something back. She would say. Don't worry, we'll be back before dinner. Naruto says, kissing his tall wife's cheek, and walked away to go get Hyakkimaru and Teiko. With Jiraiya, who had visited Fire Country's temple of monks and priests, to try and get any knowledge on Hachishikusama and how to stop her. Welcome, how may I help you? Asked a head monk. Hello, I am Jiraiya of the Toads. I'm sure you've heard of me. Jiraiya introduced, with the head priest raising a brow. And just how may I help you? The head priest asked. I need some information about Hachishikusama. I want to know how to defeat her or kill her at least. Jiraiya asked, with the head monk frowning while having a grim expression that Hachishikusama is brought up. Killing Hachishikusama is impossible. No man or monk has ever succeeded in killing her. Though there is one way to ward off Hachishikusama and defeat her. The head monk says, with Jiraiya frowning. It seems this Hachishikusama could be somewhat immortal. Or something. And what is this one thing? Jiraiya asks. A Jizo seal statue. The monk replied. A Jizo seal statue. What does it do? The toad sage asked, now interested, hoping this could be the answer to their problems. It would seal away Hachishikusama, or the very least ward her off from her young victims. The monk replied. Do you happen to have any? The toad sage asked. We only have 2 just in case the 8-foot yokai so happens to return, because last I checked she was sealed away by monks in the West Decad. Ago. But I guess she's back. The monk says. What do you mean? Jiraiya asked. I've been hearing rumors of 20 kidnapped young boys and girls here in Fire Country and had prayed to Kami that the Hachishikusama wasn't back in the elemental nations. Quote. The monk replied, with Jiraiya widening his eyes. Could we borrow both of your Jizo seal statues? I need them to capture Hachishikusama and seal her away. I have to protect my godchildren. Jiraiya says, with the head monk frowning. I see. So your godchildren has been targeted by Hachishikusama. The monk said, with Jiraiya nodding. Yes. Both of them are liked by Hachishikusama. Jiraiya lied. Even though he was unsure if Hachishikusama was going to target Menma and Naruto. Very well. Take good care of them. They are the last ones we have, and be well. The head monk says, giving Jiraiya the 2 statues. Now sealing them in the scroll, he thanked the monk and decides to leave and goes back to Konoha to report to Minato. Konoha at the moment. Menma is looking for someone, and he's looking for a certain Hyuga heiress. He smiled when he saw her leave the bakery as she went to grab a box of cinnamon rolls. Can you blame her though? That's her favorite snack. Cinnamon rolls are best. Especially the Cinnabon kind. Heya Hinata. Menma greeted as the Hyuga heiress turned around and saw who it was as she used her father's cold glare at the boy she loathed. Who was directly responsible for making Naruto leave? What do you want? Hissed Hinata. Come on now, Hinata-chan. Why so cold? I only came to ask you, would you like to go on a date with me? He says, looking at her reaction as she scowled at him in disgust. No, she says, turning away. Oh, come on. Please, Hinata-chan. I want you to be my girlfriend. You should be honored to date the son of the Yondaime Hokage. Menma boasted with an arrogant smile. The answer is no. I don't date spoiled brats. Hinata replied back coldly, with him now looking angry and hurt by that. As she walked away. So you still miss that worthless idiot. It's been 6 years. Forget him, Hinata. Naruto is gone. Or he's probably dead. You should move on and be with me. I don't understand what you see in that pathetic idiot. He's nothing. He's not even a clan heir. I've been made clan heir. Me and my sister Naruko are worthy. Menma says as Hinata suddenly stopped in her tracks and flared her Byakugan, glaring at Menma. She suddenly put down her box of cinnamon rolls. What do I see in him? You say. I'll answer that. He's a kind-hearted boy who isn't arrogant and likes to be a show-off all the time. He was denied love by his own mother and father, even his own godparents. Spoiling you and Naruko as if you are Kami's children. And because of that he ran off with some tall woman. I hate you, Menma. I'll never be your girlfriend or your friend. I'll never forgive you and your family for what you have done. With speed she moved to strike Menma with a gentle fist strike that was until Naruko arrived and got in Hinata's way, shielding her brother. Hinata, please. Naruko pleaded. Get out of the way, Naruko. Hinata says with anger. Please wait. Listen to me. I know I have been somewhat responsible for my brother to leave, but please don't do this. It's not worth it. Please don't hurt him. Naruko pleaded, with her brother scowling at her, seeing that his sister is saying it's her fault that he left. It's his own fault that left. Hinata glanced at both Namikaze's siblings with anger. As she counted to 10 to calm herself. As she looked calm but glared at the two. Fine. But know this. If he keeps this up, he'll be put in Konoha General Hospital. Hinata turned away, picking up her cinnamon rolls and left. She won't hurt me. Menma says as Naruko turned around and slapped her brother across the face. What the hell was that for? He yelled, rubbing his cheek. You know exactly what it was for. For being an. You're lucky I was able to talk some sense into her from pounding your dumb. Naruko hissed. I could have handled her. Besides, she's going to be my future wife someday. She has to learn to move on and forget. Naruto is dead. She doesn't need him anymore. Menma yelled, with his sister glaring at him. She's a human being, not an object. She can be with whoever she wants, and don't you dare say Naruto is dead. I know he's got to be alive out there. Naruko shot back. Naruko, it's been 6 years. Face it. Before he could finish that sentence, his sister struck him in the stomach, making him fall to his knees. I can never understand how am I related to you. Leave Hinata alone, because if you don't expect me to save you again. Naruko says angrily as she walked away, with Menma glaring at his sister's retreating form. Damn you, Menma thought. With Kushina now on her way to Minato's office. She was going to knock on the door until she heard Minato's voice in the room. That's the Jizo seal statue. That's going to protect Menma and Naruko from Hachishikusama. Minato says. Yeah, kid. Also rumored to have sealed her away, Jiraiya answers. What makes you think she'll come here and attack again? She'll know the Jizo seal is here to ward her off from Konoha. Minato says. She's only wasting time traveling from the west to come to the east and surprisingly attack us. Jiraiya says, with Kushina widening her eyes. The west? Is that where Hachishikusama is from? Yeah. If she does come here, all I have to do is seal her away. Jiraiya boasted with a smile. Yeah. But what about Naruto? Minato asks as Kushina listened closely. Minato. That brat has been nothing but trouble. He's willing to get back at us all because we picked his siblings over him when he's not the chosen one. It's not our fault. I say forget about him. To me he's dead. Jiraiya spoke with Kushina on the other side of the door, gritting her teeth and narrowed her eyes. Sensei, he's still. Look, someday we can reason with him and get him to see why we did what we did. Minato says with Jiraiya snorting at that. And if he doesn't? What if he is trying to get revenge at us still? Jiraiya says. Then I will have no choice but to lock him up and seal away his chakra. Let him stay in prison to think about what he has done. Minato says. Kushina looked livid at that suggestion. As she quietly walked away from the door and left the tower. Going to her home, she sat down. The kids weren't home, probably out. As she glanced at the pictures, seeing a picture of her, Minato, Menma, Naruto and Naruto in the corner with a sad expression. She then looked at a picture of Mito Uzumaki, who gave her a stare of anger. She flinched. As she looked back at a picture of baby Naruto. Her firstborn. She knows what she must do. She must try and make things right. She went upstairs to her and Minato's bedroom and went into her closet while saying Kai, undoing a genjutsu on another part of the wall showing a secret closet opening. She grabbed her kunoichi gear, her scrolls, and her sword Benaheim. She suddenly grabbed multiple sets of clothes and other belongings. Now packed and ready, she wonders should she leave a note to her kids telling them that she's going on a long trip. And that she will be back. She's going to get Naruto back from Hachishikusama and bring him home and give him the love that he should have been given in the first place. He could live with her in the motel. No. Maybe that wasn't a good idea. Knowing Minato will directly respond to that and will have Hunter Nin looking for her. To hell with it all. She wants to make this right and she must do it. She can't bear to think what Hachishikusama is doing to her son. Leaving the house and quietly leaving the village without looking back. She has to do this. Naruto and his two kids Hyakkimaru and Teiko are with him. As the three go out, having left their private village out to explore. Hyakkimaru was riding his horse Midori with his sister Teiko behind him holding her scissors. Naruto was just walking as his kids and the horse followed. Wandering in the West. The West that has warlords, daimyos, samurai and shinobi alike. Some are Ronin mercenaries. Demons too often attack at night. There are some demons here in the West that attacks humans day and night. Dragons too, along with mythical creatures and great demons. There are other daiokai like Hachishikusama. Yet Naruto is one as well. Right now there are wars going around in the West. Not to mention fighting enemy kingdoms and demons at the same time. Yet here the three of them are going on an adventure or go somewhere nice. With Kushina. Has left the Fire Country border 3 hours ago and rented a horse to ride. As she was making her way to the west. Luckily she asked for a map from the people who gave her a horse she rented. She heard rumors about what goes on in the West. She didn't care. She knows her son is there. And knows for a fact Hachishikusama is also there in the West. Maybe the people of the West can tell her where Hachishikusama is in the West when she gets there. She packed everything she needed when she gets to the West. There is no turning back now. She has to make this right. She must bring her son back and make amends. Maybe try to get Naruto and Menma to open up to their brother and bond with him again. As for her husband, Minato. Hopefully if she comes back with Naruto. She is going to reason with him one last time. Stop this prophecy bullshit. It's the reason their family fell apart and yet he refuses to see that. If he still decides to stay with Jiraiya on this foolish crusade of the prophecy. Then she leaves him no choice but to leave him via divorce and take the kids with her and leave Konoha. She wants to bring the family back. Back to the way it was. No prophecy. No neglect. No favoring one child or another. She just wants everything the way it was. And if he wants to throw it all away for a prophecy, then so be it. She leaves him and takes her kids elsewhere for them all to be a happy family and will love them all equally. She'll cross that bridge once she finishes her mission. I'm coming, Naruto Sochi. I'm going to take you home and defeat that child-killing monster even if I have to die trying. Kushina thought with conviction as she rode on her horse faster. As the horse kept galloping, heading to the west, which is very far, far away. Back with Naruto. With his two children as they traveled northwest. It was then Hyakkimaru, who was still on his horse, looked around with his eyes. He sees multiple red signatures, which means there are evil, corrupted humans who shed innocent blood. What's up, Hyakkimaru? Naruto asked his son, who noticed the look on his son's face. As Takeo followed his line of look, the three peek from the bushes and sees a group of villagers along with a group of samurai holding torches. And looks at them burning down houses. Burn them down now, said a samurai as they began burning the village. That's too cruel, says a little girl who was besides her parents in another bush. As her father gripped his polearm, glaring at the samurai for doing this. The lords and samurai think they can do anything if it's for war, but. Says a woman looking towards her husband, putting a hand on his shoulder. Please. Not anymore. The wife pleaded her husband, who have a look of resignation, and sighed. Let's go, he says, turning away both he, his wife and daughter, since he was too weak to try and fight them if it wasn't or his legs. Stop right there, called out a samurai, spotting the three. I'll never forget that polearm. Our homes were raided by bandits and my friends were all killed. I could never understand why I was left alive, but now I know. Hibukuro, yelled the samurai, unsheathing his sword to now kill the man named Hibukuro, but Hibukuro had a quick reaction and stabbed his polearm through the samurai that attempted to kill him. You bastard, yelled another samurai as they all unsheathed their sword and are going to attack. Hibukuro growled, seeing the other samurai start to approach, until a boy jumped from the bushes and turned both his arms into blades and beheaded the samurai. Shocked that a boy killed two samurais, the rest were going to attack Hyakkimaru until two flying knives went at their throats, courtesy of Takeo, who thrown her knives. As Naruto made himself known. Isn't this something? You samurai would attack a man who was in his weakened condition. Naruto says. Who are you? Asked a lead samurai who pointed his sword at Naruto. I don't give out my name to dead men. Naruto snaps his fingers as samurai cons made themselves known and attacked the samurai, killing them all. Thank you, whoever you are, Hibukuro says towards Hyakkimaru, who nodded. My name is Naruto, and you are most welcome. That boy is my son named Hyakkimaru, and this is my beautiful daughter Takeo. I already know your name. Hibukuro, Naruto says as the man gave a grunt. This is my wife Ojiya, and the girl is my daughter named Dororo. We are most thankful of you saving us from the samurai. Those dark samurai, are they yours? Hibukuro asked with Naruto nodding. Of course. I'm a demon. Naruto answered with many gasping in shock that a demon saved them. Don't be alarmed. We won't kill you. After all, we saved you. Naruto says, with them looking relieved that Naruto wasn't like any demon. As the boy looked at the homeless villagers who are now refugees. If you like, we are heading home to our village. It's not far. I'm offering you all a place to stay since you all lost your homes due to the idiocy of these warlords. Naruto says as the villagers who were now homeless instantly agreed to joining Naruto's village. Well, what do you think? Naruto asked Hibukuro, who nodded, looking towards his wife and daughter. We accept, Hibukuro says with Naruto smiling. Then, let's go, Naruto says, leading the way with his children following him. Along with the villagers. Inanaki village sometime later. Hachishikusama is nearly done with dinner. Smiling. Mama. Daddy is back. He also has several people with him. Sadako says with her mother raising an eyebrow. A moment later. Hachishika-sama along with both her daughters looked in awe seeing Naruto along with Hyakumaru, Teiko, their horse and several villagers who looked in awe about Nunaki village. Hachi-chan. I got us some villagers to live in our village. Naruto says with a big smile as she in turn smiled. Well then. Make yourselves at home. Hachishika-sama says. Konoha 5 days later. Minato was stressed. Things are getting a lot worse. All this paperwork was stressing. He needed a moment from the paperwork. Getting up from his desk needing to grab some sake. He missed his wife, Kushina. He hasn't heard from her. And wondered where was she. He looked on the cage crystal ball and looked at the hotel she would stay in. His brow raised. Her hotel room looked empty. Odd. Maybe she went to the house to see the kids. He looked there only to not find her there. If she's not at the hotel she stays cooped in or at the house to see the kids. Then where the hell is she? Something is not right. His thoughts were interrupted when his office doors are opened and walked in was Tsunade. Minato, have you seen Kushina? She asked. No. Have you? He asked her as she shook her head. I stopped by at the hotel to try and talk to her but there was no answer. Tsunade says. I checked her hotel and at the house with the crystal ball. Strange thing is I haven't heard from her in 5 days and the kids haven't seen her. Minato says as he thought long and hard. Where is his wife? He knows she hasn't been the same since Hachishika-sama took Naruto. Naruto. Then, suddenly his blue eyes went wide with horror and realization on where his wife is. Oh. Fuck. I need all hunter nins available immediately. ASAP. Minato yelled out with Tsunade looking surprised. What? Why? She asked confused. Kushina left the village. She's gone out looking for Naruto. Minato replied with Tsunade looking shocked. Damn it Kushina. Why? Thought Minato how could she do this? Question mark. And get me Jiraiya. I need him now. Minato yelled out. He hoped he wasn't too late. Hopefully the hunter nins and Jiraiya will find Kushina and bring her back. How will he explain this to Naruto and Menma?